During a dinner at Mar-a-Lago in late 2024, President-elect Donald Trump proposed an unexpected idea to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, suggesting that Canada should consider joining the United States as its 51st state. Trump claimed that Canadians would benefit from lower taxes and improved health care under U.S. governance. Initially, this statement was met with nervous laughter, as many assumed it was made in jest. However, following the dinner, Trump continued to reference the notion publicly. On December 10, 2024, he referred to Trudeau as Governor Justin Trudeau of the great state of Canada on his social media platform, Truth Social. He also mentioned his eagerness to meet with Trudeau again to further discuss tariffs and trade policies. By December 18, 2024, Trump escalated the discussion, asserting that many Canadians were in favor of their country becoming part of the U.S., though he provided no evidence to support this claim. In early January 2025, Trump intensified his rhetoric by threatening to impose a 25% tariff on Canadian imports unless the country strengthened its border security. Trump implied that economic leverage could be used to push Canada toward integration with the U.S., stating, "We're subsidizing Canada for nearly $300 billion. Why should we be doing this? If we're going to subsidize them, they should become a state." On January 7, 2025, Trudeau responded decisively, rejecting any notion of annexation, stating emphatically, "There isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become a part of the United States." Despite Trudeau's firm dismissal, Trump continued to push the idea. In a Christmas message on December 25, 2024, he claimed that if Canada joined the U.S., taxes would drop by over 60%, businesses would expand significantly, and the nation would benefit from enhanced military protection. At a press conference on January 7, 2025, Trump clarified that military action was not being considered as a means of annexation, but rather economic measures could be employed to pressure Canada into unification. He argued that such a move would strengthen national security and reduce U.S. border protection costs. Subsequently, he posted an image on Truth Social, depicting the U.S. flag overlaying the combined territories of both nations, accompanied by a caption referencing Canada's national anthem. On February 1, 2025, Trump formally announced a 25% tariff on all Canadian goods, set to take effect on February 4, 2025. This decision provoked strong reactions from Canadian officials. The next day, February 2, Trump reinforced his stance on Truth Social, once again expressing his desire for Canada to become the 51st state. He promised that if Canada agreed to annexation, the tariffs would be removed, and the country would receive full military security guarantees. In response to these economic pressures, Canada devised a comprehensive strategy to protect its interests and uphold its sovereignty. Initially, the Canadian government announced its own 25% tariff on $155 billion worth of U.S. imports, with $30 billion of these tariffs targeting key American goods. However, after negotiations between Trudeau and Trump, both leaders agreed to a temporary 30-day suspension of the tariffs. Despite this pause, Canada made it clear that it was prepared to enforce retaliatory measures if U.S. tariffs resumed once the moratorium ended. In addition to tariffs, Canada considered implementing non-tariff measures, including restricting exports of critical minerals and energy resources, as well as limiting U.S. companies' access to Canadian government contracts. To reduce its economic reliance on the U.S., Canada also explored expanding its trade partnerships with other countries. A key component of this strategy involved diversifying oil exports, with a particular focus on increasing shipments to China and Japan. The expansion of the Trans Mountain Pipeline, completed in May 2024, played a pivotal role in this shift. The project nearly tripled the pipeline's capacity to 890,000 barrels per day, granting Canada greater access to Pacific markets and allowing energy producers to tap into the growing demands of Asian nations. Alberta's government was particularly proactive in forging stronger ties with Japan. In February 2025, Alberta's Environment Minister, Rebecca Schultz, traveled to Tokyo to discuss potential liquefied natural gas, LNG, agreements. Meetings with Japanese officials and representatives from major energy firms such as JERA and JOGMEC focused on promoting Canadian LNG as a secure and efficient energy source. Canada emphasized advantages such as shorter shipping times and lower geopolitical risks compared to other suppliers. The expanded Trans Mountain Pipeline had already enabled shipments to Asian markets. In September 2024, major refiners in Japan and South Korea, including ENEOS and GS Caltex, received deliveries of Canadian crude oil. This shift marked a significant departure from Canada's historical dependence on the U.S. for oil exports. Beyond energy policy, other Canadian leaders also explored potential countermeasures. Ontario Premier Doug Ford suggested that the province might limit electricity exports to neighboring U.S. states such as Minnesota, Michigan, and New York if the tariffs were enforced. Such a move could severely impact approximately 1.5 million American consumers who rely on Canadian power. In response to the escalating trade tensions, Canada continued to examine ways to reduce its reliance on the U.S. market. The government sought to strengthen trade relationships with European and Asian partners by leveraging agreements such as the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA, with the European Union and the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP. By expanding its export reach, Canada aimed to lessen its vulnerability to economic pressure from the U.S. The tariffs also sparked a rise in nationalistic sentiment among Canadians. Grassroots movements emerged, encouraging citizens to prioritize locally made products to support domestic businesses. This shift in consumer behavior was seen as a way to cushion the economic impact of reduced trade with the U.S. Trudeau also highlighted the importance of eliminating internal trade barriers between Canadian provinces. By streamlining regulations and reducing restrictions on interprovincial commerce, Canada aimed to create a more resilient internal market, better equipped to withstand external economic pressures. During a recent private meeting with business and labor leaders in Toronto, Prime Minister Trudeau voiced concerns about Trump's remarks regarding annexation. While initially dismissed as a joke, Trudeau suggested that Trump's comments might be serious, particularly given Canada's vast natural resource wealth. This reinforced the urgency for Canada to take proactive steps in securing its economic independence and national sovereignty. Trudeau emphasized that Trump seemed to genuinely believe that absorbing Canada into the United States was a straightforward approach to securing its resources. He stressed the urgency of formulating economic strategies to navigate the shifting political dynamics between the two nations. Trudeau underscored the importance of strengthening internal trade and broadening international trade partnerships to reduce Canada's economic reliance on the U.S. He noted, "We must be very intentional in how we continue engaging with the United States." He also pointed out that the U.S. was acutely aware of Canada's vast natural resources and sought to benefit from them. The United States has long depended on Canada for its abundant natural resources, but Trump's recent remarks have raised new concerns over how far that reliance could extend. While his statements about annexing Canada were initially dismissed as exaggerations, they have now fueled discussions about whether the U.S. might seriously consider absorbing its northern neighbor, particularly to gain control over its immense resource wealth. In 2023, Canada ranked as the fourth largest oil producer in the world, generating an average of 4.6 million barrels per day. A significant portion of this output, approximately 3.9 million barrels per day, was exported, representing 81% of the country's total production. The overwhelming majority of these exports, around 97%, were sent to the United States, highlighting the deeply integrated energy ties between the two nations. The consistent flow of Canadian crude to U.S. refineries ensures a steady supply, reinforcing both economic interdependence and energy security. Alberta's oil sands dominate Canada's crude oil production, contributing over 87% of total exports to the United States. Alberta remains the heart of Canada's oil industry, with oil sands accounting for 65% of the country's total crude and equivalent production in 2023. Canadian crude exports are distributed to different U.S. refining regions, known as Petroleum Administration for Defense Districts, PADDs. The largest recipient is the U.S. Midwest, PADD2, which takes in around 61.8% of all Canadian crude shipments. The economic significance of Canada's oil exports is substantial, making oil one of the primary contributors to Canada's economy. Canada also plays a crucial role in the global natural gas sector. In 2023, it ranked as the fifth largest natural gas producer, with an average daily output of 17.9 billion cubic feet. The country's proven reserves vary across different estimates. According to the CIA World Factbook, Canada ranks 16th globally, with approximately 2.56 trillion cubic meters of proven reserves. Other sources, such as Worldometer, place Canada 18th, citing total reserves of about 71.8 trillion cubic feet, or 2.03 trillion cubic meters. On average, Canada exported approximately 7.9 billion cubic feet of natural gas per day in 2023, with the United States being its primary destination. This figure highlights Canada's indispensable role in supplying its southern neighbor with natural gas. Alberta and British Columbia serve as the country's major production hubs. Alberta leads in natural gas output, producing over 121 billion cubic meters in 2020, while British Columbia contributes significantly, particularly through its shale gas formations. These reserves are vital for both domestic consumption and fulfilling export commitments. From an economic perspective, natural gas exports generated an estimated $13 billion in revenue in 2023. This figure underscores the importance of natural gas in Canada's trade portfolio and its broader economic stability. A robust pipeline network facilitates the cross-border natural gas trade, ensuring a steady and efficient flow of resources. This infrastructure not only enhances energy security for both nations, but also strengthens their economic interdependence. Canada is also a key player in the global nickel market. In 2023, it ranked as the sixth largest producer, with an output of approximately 158,159 metric tons. Ontario leads the country in nickel production, accounting for 39% of national output, followed by Newfoundland and Labrador at 27%, Quebec at 27%, and Manitoba contributing 7%. Notably, the Raglan mines in Quebec stood as Canada's top nickel-producing site in 2023. In terms of trade, Canada's nickel and nickel-based product exports totaled $5.8 billion in 2023. The United States was the dominant importer, purchasing nearly 49% of Canada's nickel exports by volume. Other major buyers included the Netherlands, 14%, China, 7%, and Japan, 6%. Globally, Indonesia leads nickel production, supplying 51% of the world's output with 1.8 million tons in 2023. It is followed by the Philippines, 11.3%, New Caledonia, 6.5%, Russia, 5.6%, and Australia, 4.5%. Canada's ranking as the sixth largest producer highlights its strategic role in the international nickel market. Nickel is primarily used in stainless steel production, accounting for nearly two-thirds of total consumption. Given its extensive resource base and well-developed mining industry, Canada continues to be a major player in the global supply of this critical metal. Nickel also plays a crucial role in the production of lithium-ion batteries, which are essential for electric and hybrid vehicles. In 2023, battery production accounted for approximately 16% of global nickel consumption, underscoring the metal's growing significance in the transition to sustainable technologies and a low-carbon economy. Canada is also a major player in the global aluminum industry, ranking as the fourth largest producer worldwide in 2022. That year, the country produced around 3 million metric tons of primary aluminum, representing approximately 4.4% of global output. The value of Canada's aluminum exports was substantial, reaching $14.2 billion in 2022. The United States was by far the largest importer, purchasing $13 billion worth of Canadian aluminum. Other key markets included Mexico, which imported $363 million, followed by the Netherlands at $86.1 million, Hong Kong at $11 million, and India at $79 million. Canada's aluminum industry has experienced steady growth, with revenues expanding at a compound annual rate of 2.3% over the past 5 years, reaching a total of $16.5 billion in 2024. This growth has been driven by rising aluminum prices and increasing demand from export markets. One of the key advantages of Canada's aluminum sector is its relatively low carbon footprint compared to other leading producers. This is largely due to the industry's reliance on renewable energy sources, particularly hydroelectric power, which significantly reduces greenhouse gas emissions. Canada is also a notable player in the global zinc market, ranking as the 11th largest producer in 2022. That year, the country's mining operations yielded approximately 250,000 metric tons of zinc, a decrease from the 310,000 metric tons produced in 2021. The provinces of Manitoba and Quebec are the leading contributors to national zinc output. In 2021, Manitoba was the top producing province, with an output of approximately 8,549 metric tons. In terms of trade, Canada's zinc exports were valued at around $1.25 billion in 2023. Major importers of Canadian zinc include South Korea, Switzerland, Australia, and the United States. In 2022, South Korea was the largest buyer, importing $113 million worth of zinc ore from Canada. Zinc is primarily used for galvanizing steel, a crucial process that protects metal from corrosion. This makes zinc indispensable in industries such as construction, automotive manufacturing, and shipbuilding. Additionally, the metal is used in the production of alloys like brass and bronze, die casting, and various chemical applications, including the manufacturing of batteries and fertilizers. Gold is another major resource where Canada holds a leading position. In 2022, it ranked as the world's fifth largest gold producer, extracting approximately 25.8 tons, which accounted for about 5% of global production. The primary gold-producing provinces are Ontario, Quebec, and British Columbia. In 2023, Ontario led national production with 89.9 tons, or 45% of Canada's total output, followed by Quebec at 50.8 tons, 26%, and British Columbia at 17.9 tons, 9%. The majority of Canadian gold is exported, serving both industrial and investment demands. In 2022, Canada's gold exports were valued at $4.7 billion, making it the seventh largest gold exporter in the world. The primary destinations for these exports included the United Kingdom, which imported $7.53 billion worth of Canadian gold, followed by Switzerland at $2.19 billion, the United States at $2.15 billion, Hong Kong at $1.56 billion, and Singapore at $372 million. Canada is also a significant global producer of uranium, a key element used in nuclear power generation. The country's uranium mining operations are concentrated in the Athabasca Basin in northern Saskatchewan, which is known for having some of the highest-grade uranium deposits in the world. These deposits contain concentrations far above the global average, making Canada one of the most important players in the nuclear energy sector. In 2022, Canada produced approximately 7,351 tons of uranium, accounting for about 15% of the world's total supply. This marked a strong recovery from 2021, when production had dropped to 4,693 tons. The country's uranium exports are a major part of its trade portfolio, with approximately 11,988 tons of uranium and uranium-related compounds exported in 2022. These exports were valued at approximately $1.38 billion. The primary destinations for Canadian uranium included the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Germany, and the United States. The uranium sector in Canada is dominated by major corporations such as Cameco Corporation and Orano Canada Inc., which are among the world's top uranium suppliers. These companies, along with their joint venture partners, operate key mining and milling facilities in northern Saskatchewan. Looking ahead, Canada is aiming to strengthen its position in the global uranium market, with plans to increase production capacity significantly. Projections indicate that Canada could potentially double its domestic uranium output by 2035, driven by increasing global demand for nuclear energy as a low-carbon power source. Hydroelectricity is another major contributor to Canada's energy sector. The country ranks as the third largest producer of hydroelectric power globally, generating approximately 393,000 gigawatt-hours in 2022. Hydroelectric power accounts for the majority of Canada's electricity production, making it the dominant source of energy in the country. Key provinces such as Quebec, British Columbia, and Newfoundland and Labrador are major contributors to hydroelectric generation, leveraging their abundant water resources to produce sustainable energy. Canada has also established itself as a major player in the global diamond industry. Over the past few decades, diamond mining has become a significant part of the country's resource economy, with operations primarily concentrated in the Northwest Territories. Major mines such as the Ekati, Diavik, and Gahcho Kué mines have played a crucial role in Canada's emergence as one of the world's top diamond producers. In 2019, Canadian mines produced approximately 18.6 million carats of rough diamonds, with a total value of $2.25 billion. This positioned Canada as the world's third largest diamond producer, both in terms of volume and value. The country's high-quality diamond deposits and well-regulated mining industry have made it a preferred supplier in the global market. The significance of Canada's natural resources cannot be overstated, and its economic ties with the United States have been shaped by this vast wealth. However, with Trump's recent remarks suggesting potential annexation, concerns have grown over how Canada can safeguard its sovereignty while maintaining its economic stability. As a result, Canadian leaders continue to explore ways to strengthen trade relationships with other global partners, diversify resource exports, and reinforce national policies that protect the country's economic independence. In 2023, Canada's diamond production was estimated at 16.2 million carats, reflecting a slight decline from previous years. Despite this decrease, the country remained a key player in the global diamond market, exporting diamonds valued at approximately $1.7 billion US. Most of these exports were directed toward nations with established diamond trading and processing industries. In 2022, Belgium emerged as a leading importer, purchasing Canadian diamonds worth approximately $1.42 billion USD. A defining characteristic of Canada's diamond industry is the high quality of its gemstones, which are frequently laser engraved with distinct markings, such as a maple leaf or a polar bear, to ensure traceability and authenticity. This practice enhances consumer confidence while reinforcing Canada's commitment to ethical mining practices. Canada also leads the world in potash production, an essential component of fertilizers. The country holds approximately 9% of the world's proven oil reserves and operates refineries capable of processing nearly 2 million barrels of oil per day. The United States remained the largest recipient of Canadian mineral exports in 2023, accounting for 56% of total shipments. Other key trading partners included China, 7%, the United Kingdom 6%, Japan 4%, South Korea 3%, and Switzerland 3%. In 2023, Canada maintained its position as the world's top potash producer, generating approximately 13 million metric tons. In 2022, the total value of Canadian potash production reached approximately $16.8 billion, making it the highest-ranked commodity in the country based on production value. Beyond its mineral wealth, Canada's boreal forest is one of its most significant natural assets. This vast region comprises approximately one-third of the circumpolar boreal forest, which spans the northern hemisphere, primarily north of the 50th parallel. Covering more than 280 million hectares, the boreal zone makes up over 75% of Canada's total forested area. It stretches from Newfoundland and Labrador in the east to the border between the northern Yukon and Alaska in the west. The region is dominated by coniferous forests, particularly spruce, interspersed with extensive wetlands, primarily bogs and fens. In 2022, Canada's forest sector contributed approximately $33.4 billion to the country's real gross domestic product, GDP, representing 1.2% of the national GDP. Canada is also among the world's largest exporters of forest products. In 2022, the country's total forest product exports were valued at $45.6 billion, with the majority destined for the United States. While softwood lumber exports declined by 17.7%, other segments of the forestry industry experienced notable growth, including newsprint and printing paper, which saw increases of 35% and 33% respectively. Softwood lumber remains a crucial component of Canada's forestry exports, accounting for approximately 20% of the sector's total export value. Canada also continues to be the world's leading producer of newsprint, supplying 32% of global demand. The United States remains the largest market for Canadian forestry products, followed by key trading partners such as China, the United Kingdom, Japan, South Korea, and Switzerland, reflecting Canada's strong global influence in the forestry industry. The recently negotiated 30-day pause in the ongoing Canada-U.S. trade dispute has provided a temporary respite, but the situation remains fragile. While this agreement signals a short-term reduction in hostilities, the deeper economic and political tensions between the two nations remain unresolved. Analysts interpret the U.S.'s aggressive stance as an effort to exert economic dominance over Canada, with some even suggesting that it could be a strategic push toward annexation. Despite mounting pressure, Canada has remained firm in rejecting any form of subjugation. Instead, the country has reinforced its economic independence through increased internal investment and strategic shifts in foreign policy. This marks a critical moment in the historically close, yet often complex relationship between the two allies. Canada's commitment to protecting its sovereignty through policy recalibrations indicates that tensions may persist long after the temporary truce expires. The current state of affairs represents one of the most strained periods in modern Canada-U.S. relations, surpassing even the turbulence of Trump's presidency. As the 30-day pause progresses, the key question remains: will the United States escalate its demands, forcing Canada into a defensive economic position, or will diplomacy ultimately lead to a more stable resolution? The coming weeks will be crucial in determining whether this ceasefire paves the way for reconciliation or serves merely as a brief lull before an even greater conflict. For now, the world watches and waits. What are your thoughts on this situation? Share your perspective in the comments below. That concludes this video. We truly appreciate you taking the time to watch. If this content resonated with you or provided valuable insights, please consider showing your support by liking the video and subscribing to our channel. Your engagement is incredibly valuable to us. Another video from our channel is now available on your screen. Be sure to check it out.